Good morning, lovers of freedom. If you are a person that wants the black man to be free, I believe you should be supporting the Biafran cause. Because in Africa today, the only realistic movement against the emancipation of the white man by putting in their stooges to enforce bad governance on the people is only the Biafran revolution. So I just came across a breaking news that the Attorney General of the Finnish government released a memo because he heard that there has been so many rumors propagated by the Nigerian news media that Simon Ekpa will be extradited. Before I show you that memo, let us quickly watch some highly placed and highly cheered lawyers explain how a Simon Ekpa cannot be extradited, that everything the Nigerian army, this local news in Nigeria, they are all about propaganda. You and I, we both know, right? Because look at what's going on. So let's listen to their own conversation, and after that, we'll also discuss about the communique.
Do we have because for you to extradite, usually there should be a bilateral agreement. And from all indication, Nigeria do not have a bilateral agreement with Finland. However, since it's an international crime, but it's a question of also what will be the conditions. The conditions will now be onerous. Can Nigeria satisfy the requirements of extraditing one to Nigeria without having a bilateral agreement with Finland? So this is where we are.
It's now meant for the law court in Finland to now look into the request by the Chief of Defense Staff to extradite Simon Ekpa to Nigeria. Professionally speaking, the chances are possible to extradite Simon Ekpa to Nigeria. However, in my opinion, it's almost impossible, though it's not 100% impossible, because one, there is no extradition treaty between Finland and Nigeria. Number two, the Finnish authorities have every right to take him to court to answer to the charges against him, and that is perfect, that is due diligence. And afterwards, don't forget the CJEU, the Criminal Justice of the European Union, also have a right under the European human rights to also test if he is suitable to be extradited to Nigeria based on one, the charges against him, and number two, the fundamentals, because he has to defend himself in a court of law. You cannot just bring charges without him answering in response to the reasons why he's inciting violence, to the fundamentals why he thinks there's a reason for him to request for self-determination for the people of Biafra. The Criminal Court of Justice of the European Union has to check if they believe in self-determination. They have to check if they believe in human rights abuses, because bringing that man to Nigeria is a great idea, but I'm not sure that the Chief of Defense Staff should go home and relax and sleep, because they have to consider the human rights records in Nigeria as a country. Obviously, we are all Nigerians. We know our human rights records. There is nothing to boast about. And in instances like people that have disappeared in Nigeria, off my head, Daddy Atta is still being looked for. Nobody has seen him for years. The people that participated in the so-called NSAS protest, many of them, after the panel, no human rights justice for them. The people that were involved in the End Bad Governance protest, no human rights for them. Even last week, we saw the human abuse of a couple by an army general. Up to today, we are still hearing. Or about politicians who believe they can buy the justice system in Nigeria, or politicians who believe they can buy vehicles, build houses for justices. So obviously, we have to understand that Simon Ekpa has to answer to his charges against him. I think that's due diligence to do, and I support that. However, we have to also ask ourselves, can the Finnish authorities, if they want to copy what we do in Nigeria, example, Simon Ekpa is a politician in Finland today. He joined politics in 2017, and is a member of the National Coalition Party, the ruling party in Finland today. They won their national elections in February this year, and they have a president of the country. Simon Ekpa also served the country as an army officer. Now, if you look at this human rights record in Nigeria, what Nigerian politicians have done about justice in Nigeria, do you think the National Coalition Party of Finland will feel comfortable to extradite Simon Ekpa to Nigeria based on zero extraditory treaty between Nigeria and Finland and based on human rights of Nigeria in general? So I think the right thing has been done. Okay. But in conclusion, sir, I think Nigeria also has the copy from Finland to know that due diligence matters.
A prosecutor's office memo. Subject: extradition of Simon Ekpa to Nigeria. Date: January 26, 2025. State Prosecutor. With this memo, I want to clarify the position of the Finnish government regarding the possible extradition of Simon Ekpa to Nigeria. Decision: Simon Ekpa will not be extradited to Nigeria for the following reasons. 1. Citizenship. Simon Ekpa is a citizen of Finland, and Finnish legislation protects its citizens from extradition to countries outside the EU, unless there is a particularly compelling reason, which was not found to be the case in this case. 2. Legal grounds. Accusations related to Ekpa's activities, such as incitement to terrorism, are currently being investigated in Finland. The Finnish legal system has decided to deal with these accusations in domestic courts, which makes extradition unnecessary. 3. Human rights. There are concerns about Nigeria's human rights record and the functioning of the justice system, which could jeopardize Ekpa's fair trial and safety. Finland cannot extradite its citizen to a state where his legal protection is not guaranteed. 4. International legislation. Finland complies. International legislation and agreements that limit extradition in situations where the rights of the person to be extradited may be endangered. This decision is based on Finnish legislation and international obligations. Simon Ekpa's legal process continues in Finland, and he is treated the same as all other persons under Finnish jurisdiction. This is the final decision on the matter, unless new, significant facts come to light that could change this position.
Come back. About the communique, it's in Finnish, okay? So, as we can see, there's no way Simon Ekpa would be repatriated. All this propaganda by the Nigerian government and their social medias, of course, that are highly controlled by the government, are just schemes to demotivate and, of course, to kill the passion of the Biafrans. What must be done now is simple. The Biafrans must amplify their voice. And like so many Biafrans are opined, now is the time to look away from the West. The Finnish government are only on the verge of compromising, but because of so many protests that have been done, not in Nigeria alone, but of course in Finland, regarding the freedom of the Prince of Africa, called the Biafra Republic, they've heard, they are fully aware, and this is why you see the likes of the CDS coming out that they respect international laws. Give me a break, Nigerian Army. The Nigerian Army we know, who have always come out to carry out their operations in one-term impunity. I mean, we see what they do in the Southeast, whereby people will be in their buses, they just ask everybody to come down. If you have 10 buses, they ask you guys to come down and search. Shouldn't they have computers? Shouldn't they have scanners that will be able to detect even from far if anybody's wearing guns? I mean, they're supposed to have all these thermal, thermal scanners the Nigerian government will not spend money to improve the lives and security of the people, and yet they will be spending heavy money on pushing propaganda against those who are genuinely, I repeat, who are genuinely seeking for their own self-determination. Self-determination is not a crime. Okay? If Nigerian government does not want Biafra to go, give them the opportunity to self-determination, which is more or less like regionalism. Alright? It should be a situation whereby any resource, any natural resources, whether oil, whether gas, whether gold, whether salt, even as common as sand, let be controlled by the regional government. By that, the laziness of those in the north will not be pulling back those in the south. That is how any country that wants to move forward, that wants to tone down the voices of agitators, operate. But you can see the Attorney General released a memo. I saw this on social media and I decided to report on it, that it is all propaganda. Don't be deceived. So you who thinks you've lost it all, I think you should reawaken your partner, your neighbor. Now is the time to up the game for the struggle. Now is the time to look for new allies. Let's take a cue from the likes of the Sahel states. These are people that have seen that there's nothing that will come out of the Western allies, because they are only in every deal for their own selfish interest, and they will always come at the West will come from their own advantageous point. They want to come from their own high bargaining position, whereby they'll give you less for more for them to collect. So the Biafrans must wake. The Manapa has been confirmed that they won't. Otherwise, the Nigerian government should give evidence. They should provide receipts. Right? We saw this is not the first time that a Finnish ambassador will come to Nigeria. So the hype about it that very soon it's all fallacies. Yes, it's all fallacies. And very soon that case will be swept under the carpet. Thank you.
Interest is it to see Nigeria destabilized?
Well, I don't know. You don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. And they've realized that we obey international laws. They don't. So what do? They use human shield. Anytime they have anything, they go within the people so that you cannot attack them, you cannot shoot. And that's what makes it. So when people say, why is it taking so long? It is a very, very difficult operation to do, because you make the mistake, you kill innocent people, your country comes after you.
This is the current Chief Defense Staff who has come out to say that the Nigerian Army obeys international laws by not shooting at civilians who are used as human shield by the Boko Harams. But is that the same case for the Southeast? Oh yes, in the past, during the Biafran War, the very commando that was sent to the Southeast said that anything moving or anything not even moving right in front of you, shoot at it. That same mentality in the Nigerian Army still exists till this very day. Watch this video. As you can see, the Nigerian Army right there inside a village in Osu or Holu, Imo State, were shooting at the blank wall. Big holes. Okay, how is it possible that one CDS will come out and state that they obey international laws in the north, however, in the south, yes, they go against the laws? In the southeast, if you are a civilian and they used you, the insurgents, those fighting for their freedom, whom the Nigerian army and the Nigerian government has termed and labeled them as terrorists, these are the Biafran soldiers. They use a civilian as human shield. Oh yes, the Nigerian army will not wait. They will gun every matter, whether living or non-living matter. As long as you occupy a space and you're right in front of them, you will be bombarded with a tanker and RPG. But today we can see that Christopher Musa is saying that the insurgents in the north are having an inroad and they're having so much sustainability that he doesn't know where they are getting their funding from, doesn't know where they are getting their food from. Oh, give me a break. In the last 4 years, the United Arab Emirates came out, gave a list of those sponsoring this terrorist in the north. But you know what? They would rather go for a man, a Simon Ekpa in Finland. In fact, they will go as far as possible as having a trade by barter, exchanging the oil, the natural resources of the Biafrans, just in a bid to ensure they get Simon Ekpa extradited. Now I believe that the Nigerian has an Igbo problem. You know, Showore used to say this. He says it openly. But even at that, the Igbos still don't like him. But that's okay. You see, the Nigerian army has been Fulanized. Hence this kid gloves against the northern bandit. Hence this romancing. You will hear them tell you that they want to reintegrate repentant bandits who are found while acting. They saw them right in the act, but you see the Nigerian army will tell you, oh, these guys, they can be reintegrated, they can be de-radicalized, they can be demilitarized, then they will be reformed. Have you ever heard them talk about reforming arrested Biafran soldiers? Have you ever heard them talk about reintegrating, rehabilitating the Biafran armies? So today now, what we have in the north, whereby they say that the northern youths are crying, wailing, that the intensity of the Nigerian army in the north is becoming too many. Because I mean, what we have heard and what we have seen in the news is the deputy of Bello Turuji, who is the most feared of them all, has been unalived. I mean, on the video, it's all viral on social media. Because of censorship, we might not be able to post it. The cook of Bello Turuji has also been dropped. Bello Turuji's son has also been dropped. So Bello Turuji, who is the most feared bandit and kickpin in the northwest, right now is currently on the run. And he is sponsoring some northern youths. Because don't get me wrong, and let us get things clear.